here's the headline if you want to get into it. Most of us are familiar with Uphold, right? Speaks very passionately about numerous projects, right? He's not like a Bitcoin maxi or anything. I've heard him talk a lot about XRP's use cases and so on. As you know, we're talking about Lukso tonight. So the other night introduced a deep dive intro about Lukso, Lyx, to you guys and why I felt as though it was significant and so on. If you haven't seen that, you can go back to watching that, and it'll also be chopped up into its own recorded video segment. But it's understanding value and understanding that even though we complain about ERC20, it's still the most used smart contract. I'm going to pay attention to what smart people are doing and where they're taking things to the next level. Lukso, in my opinion, is the next level, if you want to call it Ethereum, but I don't even think to me, it's not Ethereum because it's its own blockchain. Lukso is its own blockchain. Therefore, Lukso Lyx is its own coin, not a token. As you can see here, Uphold, right? Just in case you're new to all of this, brand new, fresh off the boat of like Robinhood or something. He's the founder of globalmacroinvestor.com. He talks about blockchain, DLT, millions of followers. When he speaks, people pretty much, cover it. So he was one of 2 whale investors into Lukso. Did he actually talk to one of the big wigs from Lukso? The answer basically is yes. How so? Well, we have this video we're going to get into. It's not super long, but I want to jump over to it. And basically, you will see the person that we introduced yesterday, which is Ethereum co-founder Fabian Vogelsteller. And basically, famous for creating ERC20 and ERC725 for Ethereum, which unlocked the tokenization of most of smart contracts for blockchain. He's looking, of course, to take this to the next level with Lukso. He calls literally Lukso fancy Ethereum, but in reality, it's not fancy garbage, is it? No. We're going to go ahead and play this. This is 12 minutes and 16 seconds. We'll get into another quick part. It's not going to be a super long deep dive, but you guys got to see this because I even have an update in regards to Lukso and who it is called the Berlin on-chain. Yeah, Berlin. What is that? And how recent is that? Well, it was today. But let's listen to this first. Smash that like if Lukso is your thing. If you hold it, we'd like to welcome some of you guys that maybe have never tuned into the show and you're from the Lukso community. All right, here we go. Here we go. Oh, it's not playing. Hold on. My bad. Let me get that tab going. Here we go.
Fabian, fantastic to see you on Real Vision.
Happy to be here.
Look, there's a lot to talk about, but first, let's get a bit of your history, because you've got a super interesting history that I think will frame a lot of your thinking now. So if you can go back in time a bit and give us a bit of your background and how you got to where you are today.
I mean, I guess it all started out when I was quite young, getting interested in computers, and then build websites when I was 14. There was the time when the internet took off. It was the 90 something. And it kind of I think I was part of the growing the internet, just like experiencing this, trying like the first websites and, AOL CDs with free internet minutes. I have been part of that time too. And basically I have been doing web development and stuff and coding on the side all the time, while at the same time I studied media design. So I was more on the trying out creative side in the study field, but I like to teach myself how to code and all of these things on the side. And that was kind of my main interest. And I kind of got into the whole blockchain thing in 2013, March 2013. I read somewhere Canadian wants to sell a house in Bitcoin, thought, oh, wow, somebody wants to sell a house in something I've never heard. That must be interesting. So, and it was one of these really strange links that are actually almost look like a scam fake link that you don't click, right? It looks like something that's not really true. And anyway, this kind of brought me into the rabbit hole pretty quickly, because this was actually before the first bubble in 2013. So Bitcoin went from $10 to $260, right? Within March, basically. And I came in literally before that. So I got the whole excitement around Bitcoin and so on. And I think it was a great time to get in because this was before any altcoin. So I kind of got to experience the whole altcoin mania, starting with Litecoin in June, and then, NXT, and at some point Mastercoin, and all of the other random projects, Aurora Coin, that also existed, still exists. All of these other altcoins, I always found the ones which actually coded their own thing and made something from scratch more interesting than just the simple copy and paste of Bitcoin. And I really like this idea of like Mastercoin building something on top of an existing protocol, like piggybacking on the security of Bitcoin, and then like you do your own protocol. Even though they made the Mastercoin token, and then after a few months they figured out, it doesn't have any purpose. I guess we got that a few times after that, projects creating tokens and then later figuring out what's the use really of that token. Like, doesn't make any sense in the first place. So basically 2014, I got to know the people from Ethereum. So I already knew about Ethereum, like when they started it. But in 2014, I got to meet them. I heard they were opening an office in Berlin, and this was at the time where the project didn't have any money. So funny enough, literally the next day when I met them and heard they want to open an office, they made the crowd sale, and they had collected 31,000 Bitcoin, biggest crowd sale in history at the time. It took a few more months because they need to like arrange themselves, create foundation, blah, blah, blah. Funny enough, then I got an email from a recruiter looking for a C++ developer for the company Ethereum. So I thought, wow, great. I'm not C++ developer, but I see they are now set up to look for people. Great, let me go there again. So I went there. And at the time I was writing a book, or actually I already wrote a book about Meteor.js, which is a JavaScript framework, explaining how you build full stack applications. And mainly these were applications running fully in the browser. So they're running fully in the front end. They technically don't really need a back end. Full stack was both at the same time. There was this whole like movement of single page apps, how we called them at the time. And when I got to Ethereum, I realized, that's super cool here. They want to build this network, and they have figured out how to build the nodes, but nobody really thinks about how to, make this, first show it to users, what this can do, but also show it to developers. And I think this was kind of what was missing, and I felt I could bring this in. At the same time, Alex van der Zande, he was the UX guy at Ethereum. He had this idea about the Mist browser. So he wanted to build this Web3 browser.
For a little savings, Specialist Miller buys in bulk.
And he made this YouTube video that's still like out there on YouTube, explaining the Mist browser concept. And literally, we still have to do a lot of these things that he explained in this video. And actually we will now, but he had this concept and he wanted to build it, but he couldn't really like do it by himself. So then he heard, there's this guy who can make full stack applications. Hey, why we don't get him in? And that's how, when he reached out to Jeffrey, who built the Go Ethereum client, he said, hey, let him get into our team. So I had this very interesting place, basically. I was part of the Go Ethereum team. So basically part of the Amsterdam team, technically speaking, but I was sitting in Berlin in the C++ team, which was run by Gavin. So I was literally between the two teams, like hired by one team, but sitting in the other, which was a very interesting place because it kind of I saw the conflicts, and then I had chances to connect the two. So basically when I was part of this team, I kind of got in like very early, and I had this role of what we called a lead D-app developer. I mean, actually, this is just the title that I gave myself, really. It was an interesting position because on the one hand, we had to literally figure out how Ethereum works, right? Because it was completely novel. How to build smart contracts, how do you do any of this stuff? At the same time, build tools and define how you interact with it as a developer. But at the same time, then also build the interfaces and the apps that people can use. And we built the Mist browser, first Web3 browser, that had like, I think Alex summed it up at some point. It had like 15 million downloads. it didn't even have a website. There was really just the GitHub release page. You had to figure out how to get there and like download it. But it was like the DAO, and there was lots of things happened that like people needed to use the Mist browser basically. It was also the first app in the Mist browser was the Ethereum wallet. And the Ethereum wallet was like the way how you interact with first Ether, later smart contracts, and then later also tokens. So I got like really fortunate enough on all the important places, and I kind of had my hands in a lot of the early work that has to do with like, you know, how we do things on Ethereum today. So in that list is like I worked then on Web3.js, which is the most used JavaScript library in the blockchain space. I then overtook that project when Gavin and the others moved out to Parity or ETH Core, how it was called initially. I overtook Web3.js, made the 1.0 that everybody's using today still. I defined lots of things, like I defined also the Ethereum provider. That's how like a Brave browser or how MetaMask talks to a D-app. And then in 2015, I proposed ERC20 out of a proposal from Vitalik initially and some discussion in a wiki page. That's probably what people know me more for, even though there was the least work I did.
It's always the case, right?
It's always the case. But I have been really like interesting enough, like on the intersection of like doing a lot of the early work and defining a lot of the early things, and then also kind of also seeing like how a standard in a flexible blockchain like Ethereum, right? If you can build anything, like how impactful standards can be. It literally defined the whole years after, still defines everything. So like suddenly there was like ICOs, and then there were like all the conferences were about tokens, and every project had something with tokens made up. And it became this massive token mania. And people really thought, oh, Ethereum, that's tokens, right? Even though this is just a tiny use case, something you can do with smart contracts. And yes, it became popular. And I think like we are kind of like, we're discovering now a new use case. Now it's NFTs. Okay, people realize, oh, tokens can not only represent money, they can also represent other things. I guess with DeFi, people learned that, oh, smart contracts can talk to each other, and we can now make a token that like locks in here and produces something else that talks to something else that somehow, you know, intertwains with whatever. So it's kind of like, it's almost like the public is learning slowly what Ethereum can do as a protocol, like step by step, always introducing a new use case, where then people realize, oh, that's cool, you know, I can do all of these different things. Yeah, and that's kind of where we are today. But at the same time, still being very early in this whole endeavor, discovering what like this technology does really.
So talk me through Lukso and what you're doing there, why you did it, and what you think the opportunity set is. And we'll get to talk about a lot of this because I'm, you know, very into the social tokens idea and token economies and how the integration of NFTs and how all of this comes together, I think. But so talk us through that. Why did you start the business? What was your idea? And what is it you're doing now?
I personally wouldn't call it a business. I would call it a project. So when I was at Ethereum, like we defined a lot of the early ways of how we do things. And I mean, technically, I could have probably worked for the Ethereum Foundation for the next 10 years, and there's lots of things you can define. But I guess when Marjorie, my partner, came up with this idea, hey, why we don't put like fashion on the blockchain? That was the initial idea. I thought like, oh, wow. Yeah, lots of people are thinking about this. Kind of feels boring. Like, I don't know why I want to put anything on the blockchain. I'm pretty good at Ethereum. What I'm doing, that's already fun enough. I can do whatever I want, you know, I can just make a shit up and then like people either use it or not. But I mean, then I think I really like this idea of like creating an ecosystem and also creating an ecosystem for a new set of use cases. And I mean, in the beginning, it was just these ideas like, okay, let's create an ecosystem for like maybe less financial use cases, more like for creative and lifestyle use cases. And the interesting thing is, at the time, it was all about DeFi. So it was all about like, you know, money Lego, more money. And it was very financially focused, really. And the interesting thing is like, you know, what I really realized, because the most popular projects in blockchain are blockchains. Right? It's a bunch of tokens. I haven't seen many successful tokens that really make a lot of sense. But blockchains do. right? Because you can't take the token out of the blockchain. Even though there were some clever people in Wired magazine claiming that in 2016, it's not true. Like without the token, the blockchain doesn't work. At least not decentralized. So this really made sense, but I also realized that actually every blockchain forms its own community, right? There's a certain group of people, like entrepreneurs and whatever, that are attracted to a certain network.
Hey, if you like this clip, be sure to check out the full interview and more only on realvision.com/crypto. It's 100% free. Sign up now.
All right, yeah, the whole thing is quite extensive, super long and so on, but it gives you an idea, especially when we talk about the whole thing of this particular gentleman in Luxo, and him doing what he basically created the ERC20 smart contract, still the most used one out there, ERC 725 as well. So he understands NFTs. He understands, obviously smart contracts. A very smart person, taking obviously Ethereum to the next level with what he did with Luxo, right? I want to now share this with you. And basically speaking, it is straight from X, and it's this guy. This is the other whale that invested into Luxo that definitely needs to be mentioned. His name is Dan Tapario, if I'm pronouncing that right. Why point him out? Well, look at some of the basic things, part of his resume. So for one, he's the founder and CEO/CIO, managing partner of 10 Fund. If you're wondering about them, like it says, 10T Holdings, I should say, is a mid to late stage growth equity fund that invests in private companies operating in the digital asset ecosystem, aka DAE. What's really interesting is they're followed by Wisdom Tree. It's a nice catch. Shout out to even Brian from the JASMY community. He follows them. So, yeah, interesting, right? And so there's that. On top of that, you will have him being a managing partner of One RT Fund. One Roundtable Partners is what it stands for. It's a mid to late stage growth equity fund that invests in private companies operating in the digital asset ecosystem, aka the DAE. Now, is there more about this? Well, yeah, there is. Basically speaking, when you go over to rtfund.com, for example, it will take you over to here. And here's just a kind of a little brief synopsis of their site and so on. So when I went to About Us, it pulls up the thing about their team. You do see him listed here. But they have a very, very robust team, right? And more importantly is when you get into like some of the, I guess you could say like, the profile of some of these people, it brings this up. And I don't know if that's big enough for you guys, but I'll try to expand it a little bit more. Yeah, let's do that real quick. So it mentions that, he brings 30 years experience to macro and commodity investing. How about that? Commodities, where he's talking about ones that are securities, ones that are commodities. This statement that before he founded 1RT and even 10T, he was managing partner of DTAP Capital Advisors, global macro investment fund founded in 2003. He's also co-founder of Gold Bullion International in regards to understanding like physical precious metals. I mean, a lot of you guys are invested in this stuff, right? For wealth management, he expanded into cryptocurrency universe in 2014. So this is not his first rodeo. He's been in this for like 10 years. He's the co-founder of Agriculture Company of America called AGCOA, and that is one of the largest farmland REITs is what do you want to call it in the U.S. at the time of the sale back in 2013. So he's very familiar with capital management, venture capital. You know how we always talk about like Tim Draper and Draper Associates. You can kind of put somebody like this in the mix. Again, pretty wealthy guy, has a lot of background, and most importantly, invested as a like a whale investor into what? Into Luxo, LYX. All right, so that's cool. Remember how you also heard Fabian Vogelsteller talk about, for example, what Ethereum had going on with Berlin, or Berlin, Germany. Well, look at this. This is new. This is an update. All right. So I wanted to share this with you guys. I know I'm not on the screen, but I want to put the emphasis on this posting. They posted this today, and what does it say? It says that this is from Enso. Who were they? Well, basically, when I got into this, Enso is a first AI attestor, not pronouncing that right, for on-chain proof for off-chain actions. And remember how Luxo is all about like fashion and so on? So proof of where? Fashion company. See how this all comes together? Yeah, I think you do. So, why would they post stuff like this? Well, let's jump back to this for a second. So Enso says, "Good morning, Berlin," or "Good morning, Berlin. We are excited to announce something special tomorrow. With Lukso.io on-chain activation and our new product proof of introducing proof of allowing for attestation through multimodal AI powered by ETH and so collective Rival IO to provide on-chain proof for IRL interactions in real life, right? Anyway, introducing Berlin on-chain with Luxo, Berlin 2024. So they have a thread, and they go more into this, and it basically mentions, "Get ready for proof of Berlin on-chain with Luxo. Show off your Luxo merch. Meet the Luxo team at SafeCon and the Blockhouse after party. Or join our live contest to earn the on-chain attestations." There's this other part, 12 hours ago. "Start your journey by connecting your up and Twitter to join in the activation." And boom. Remember how you had the one, the only, Mr. Fabian Vogelsteller talk a lot about universal profile? So you can have an idea why this makes sense now. So create your universal profile and connect your X/up account by visiting luxo.proofof.bot. Share your Luxo merch. Meet the Luxo team at the Blockhouse after party. Yeah, and there's more details. Okay, so what is this? And if anything, why was this posted 12 hours ago? Right. Well, I thought I'd get into some of the nitty gritty about this before we end the whole thing. And basically speaking, there's significance about all this. So, for one, I do think it's an exciting announcement for Luxo. And here's a breakdown on why it's significant. So, it's the announcement. Luxo, in collaboration with other companies, such as the ones that we provided. So, you got to keep in mind it's this attestation and how it will be provided to verifiable proof for in real life actions, IRL, of real world actions on what? Blockchain, more specifically, Luxo. Why is this significant? Well, two main things I want to get into tonight. Number one, currently, as we know, there's a challenge in verifying real world actions on the blockchain. Proof of, that's what this is referred to, seems to address this by utilizing AI to analyze and potentially verify these specific actions. This could have a wide range of applications, such as what? Supply chain tracking. As we know, we talk a lot about different projects are part of supply chain, XDC, once in a while, Morpheus Network, VeChain, heck, throw Quant in the mix. JASMY also in the mix in regards to that. But it's verifying the origin and journey of what? Goods. So now we have an understanding that you can now add a different utility layer to the Luxo utility mix. Decentralized identity, providing verifiable proof of identity for online transactions. Okay, that's more utility in motion. What about a voting system? Yeah, you better believe they're going to have a added layer of verifiability to, of course, those votes. All right. For all those who are tuning in, thank you for being patient in regards to the Luxo coverage of the night. But what does it really mean for Luxo? Great question. This announcement showcases Luxo's potential to bridge the gap between the real world and just that, blockchain. Proof of, because that's what this project is called, is if it's successful, could position, hear me out, Luxo as a leader in building trust and verifiable actions on the blockchain. But most importantly, what really has always caught my eye is there's one thing about seeing blockchain projects that are yet to proven itself, with mass adoption and so on. But then there's other ones in which, yep, you better believe it, you have this guy who is the former co-founder, along with, Hoskinson of Ethereum, who provided a ERC smart contract, right? ERC20 smart contract, right? And who is he? He's Fabian Vogelsteller, right? So my thing is, I look at the price of Luxo. I understand the utility of LYX. I'm still studying it, still trying to find out more about it and so on. But this is a coin that doesn't have, for example, billions and trillions of tokens. And it's not a token, it's a coin, because let's face it, it's this native coin from its own blockchain, Luxo. He calls this thing like a fancy version of Ethereum, but I don't even think it's worth even calling it that. It's his own thing, but he has proven himself. He created the world's most popular smart contract, whether we're fans of that smart contract or not. I'm excited about what he's building and doing in regards to Luxo. So I thought I'd bring it to you guys, and my main thing is understanding just that, guys. Positioning Luxo as a leader by building this trust, and also creating this sense of value, especially when it comes to the fashion industry. I cover other projects that have similar use case and so on, especially when it comes to luxury goods, right? LCX, right? Z Liechtenstein or Leo X is another one that's part of that mix. So understanding, building trust, verifiable actions on blockchain, but most importantly with Luxo LYX. Of course, we know we're looking for more information about this. We'll see how this develops and so on. But one thing I loved is being able to show you guys that interview with Raoul Paul and also Fabian for Luxo, and he specifically mentioned what's going on with Germany. He strategically positioned himself years ago for what is going on right now. So that is the update in regards to what's going on with Luxo. I'm glad that you guys were able to tune in and listen a little bit more about it. We will continuously cover Luxo. If you're wondering if I'm personally invested into it, yes. I only cover projects that I'm personally invested to. I can't cover everything. Some people don't like me, doing that. I just feel as though it's the right thing to do. I mean, why would I want to cover tokens or coins that I'm not into? It seems kind of hypocritical, but to each his own. Some of you guys ask what cold storage solution I use. I use this, and it is the Decent wallet. All right. I also, of course, have a ledger like this. All right. You can get a discount basically from going into the affiliate link, which is in all the live video descriptions and recorded and so on. And for the yahoos that are out there, they're like, this is just a shield, and we'll fix point this out, and it's a great point. Were you aware that you don't necessarily get a discount link just going straight to the site? No, you actually have to go through a platform like this. So how cool is that? I don't think anybody's complaining about that. But anyway, use the link, get a discount. There's another one here. If you're the type of person you want to get one for you and your significant other, you could get two of them. They actually have another promotion, which is this, and I think this is cool. You can get an all-in-one card wallet plus backup card package. Interesting. I thought that was cool. And again, one of the main key things I like about the Decent wallet is not having to do the red tape of jumping through all the hoops for XDC and the custom folder. I mean, Edward Vincent can vouch on that. Some of you guys can too as well in regards to Ledger. That was a pain in the butt. You don't have that problem. You literally open up your phone, it's on your app, track everything that's going on, right? And saying goes, not your keys, not your crypto. You know the drill. Check it all out though if you wish to do so. It is truly the cold storage solution that I use for the most part. There's still some on Ledger that I kind of split it up on it and so on. So it is what it is. But if I have preference over one, I'm going with this one. A lot easier to use and so on. And some people, even to this day, still ask me which one I use.